This video will guide you through important parts of the Greenfield Central Junior High School Student Handbook. It's important for everyone to be familiar with the rules at the beginning of the school year. Your Student Handbook is permanently stored on your iPad, so you can look through it at any time. In addition to containing all of the school rules, your handbook also provides information about other topics, like how to study, the school calendar, and our grading scale. First, we will discuss leaving and entering the building during school hours. You must remain at school for the entire day unless you have permission to leave. A note or phone call to the office from a parent is necessary to get this permission. If you arrive late to school, after 8:35, you must report to the main office to get a pass to class. If you're leaving school with a parent during the day, your parent must come to the main office to sign you out. Here are the guidelines for visiting the health clinic and for taking medication at school. Your teacher will have supplies to deal with minor health issues that used to be treated in the clinic. Visits to the clinic will be reduced to help limit the spread of COVID-19 within the school. If you need to take a prescription medication at school, it must be brought to school by an adult and be in the original container. Your parent and a doctor has to fill out a form in order for you to take prescription medication in the clinic. Over-the-counter medications can also be kept in the clinic. The appropriate form must be on file, and the medication must be in a new, sealed, and unopened container. Students in grades 7 and 8 are permitted to carry and self-administer certain over-the-counter medications. In order to do this, your parent must complete paperwork with the health assistant. It is also against the rules to use your cell phone while you are in the clinic. Some information shared in this room is personal and confidential. If you need to contact a parent while you are in the clinic, there is a phone available for you to use. Please see our health assistant, Ms. McAllister, if you have any questions about health guidelines. The next slide has several important items from the handbook. First, selling items on school grounds is not allowed, and it can result in suspension from school. Personal items should not be sold at school under any circumstances. Selling items is only allowed when it is part of a school fundraiser that has been approved by the principal. Personal phone calls can only be made from the student services phone or during your lunch period on your own phone. Phone calls or texts to parents at unauthorized times could result in disciplinary consequences under our behavior management plan. If there is an urgent need for a parent to contact you, they should call the school office and we will deliver the message to you. Next, you can see information about lost and found. Your personal property sometimes gets misplaced or left behind. If you need to look for it, there is a lost and found table near the main office. Each locker room in the gym also has a lost and found area. Finally, on this slide, note that it's never a good idea to bring large amounts of money or valuable items to school. The student, not the school, is responsible for personal property on school grounds. If you do bring items like this to school, please make sure they are kept in your locker during the day. Just like watching this video, attendance at school is very important. In fact, you are required by Indiana law to attend school. There's no replacement for being in school and receiving instruction from your teachers, but sometimes absences from school are unavoidable. You should set a goal of missing fewer than 6 days of school this year. Under the attendance heading in your student handbook, you can see what to do if you have to be absent from school. Your parent is required to call the school office prior to 9:15 a.m. If no call is made, the absence will be considered unverified. If you visit a doctor, you must bring a note from the doctor back to school in order for the absence to be excused. Excessive absences are dealt with through the Hancock County Attendance Protocol. Every school in Hancock County follows the same steps when dealing with excessive absences from school. If you get in this situation, you and your parents will be subject to consequences that include being placed on an attendance contract, possible expulsion from school, being placed on probation by the Hancock County Juvenile Probation Department, or charges being filed against your parents by the Hancock County Prosecutor for educational neglect. Remember, you are required by law to attend school unless you have a verified reason to be absent. There are times when any of us doesn't feel very well, but if you don't pose a health risk to others or don't need to be seen by a doctor, it's probably better to come to school. Establishing a pattern of good school attendance makes you more likely to be successful as a student and as an adult. If you arrive to school more than 2 hours late or leave more than 2 hours early, you will be counted absent for half a day. When you're absent from school, it is your responsibility to find out what work you missed and complete those assignments in a reasonable amount of time. You should expect to be given 1 day to make up work for each day that you are absent. If you fail to complete the assignments, you will get a 0. When you arrive slightly late to school, you're counted tardy. Every effort should be made to ensure that you get to school on time. If you are tardy to school multiple times, you will be assigned lunch detention or after-school detention. This slide covers our school's dress code. The dress code is in place to maintain a safe and secure environment, keep students focused on academic achievement, help students develop dress and appearance skills that will make them successful in society and the workplace, help students develop a positive and healthy self-esteem, and to create school pride. To accomplish this, here are our specific expectations for student dress. Shirts must have sleeves with no midriffs exposed. There should be no plunging necklines, excessive back exposure, visible undergarments, or clothing that exposes a bare midriff. Any covering on the lower body should be in good taste, and skin should not be exposed above fingertip length. Hats, hoods, or hair coverings should not be worn in the building. Bandanas, handkerchiefs, rags, or flags are not permitted in any form from the pocket, wrist, or anywhere visible. Shoes must be worn at all times. This does include flip-flops or sandals, but something must be on your feet, other than socks or bare feet. Clothing or any other item of apparel, including jewelry, which advertises, displays, or refers to non-prescription drugs, controlled substances, or illegal drugs, tobacco, sexual references, alcoholic beverages, or t-shirts that are inappropriate or vulgar, are not considered suitable for school. Chains, spike bracelets, or anklets, or other potentially harmful accessories are not permitted. Any type of dress or jewelry that does not follow the above guidelines or causes a class disruption may result in an office referral or other consequences. When you violate the dress code, you can be assigned a consequence. With each violation, you may also be asked to change your clothes or have a parent bring different clothes to you at school. Here are some examples of appropriate and inappropriate dress to help you better understand the expectations of our school dress code. Appropriate dress, and this is not a complete list of examples, is apparel that is clean and neat for shirts and pants, tops or shirts which reach to the belt line, shorts in which the hemline extends to the length of your fingertips, shirts with sleeves, and clothing which contains school-appropriate sayings and or images. Examples of inappropriate dress, and again, this is not a complete list, include slashed, ripped, or tight shirts, jeans, pants, anything that reveals skin. Saggy jeans or pants that reveal undergarments. Pants, jeans, or shorts with holes above the knee and skin showing. Sleepwear. Tank tops and clothing that reveals the stomach, back, sides, or has an exceedingly low neckline. Excessively short shorts. Excessively revealing clothes. Clothing or other apparel with suggestive or profane sayings. Clothing or other apparel that advertises alcohol, cigarettes, violence, or drugs. Throughout the school year, you will hear us talk a lot about the Cougar Code. For our school, that means being respectful, responsible, and ready to learn at all times. Based on the Cougar Code, there are certain expectations that we hold you to in every area of the building. The chart that you can see on the screen now is posted in all of your classrooms and in other areas of the building, and it describes the behavior that is expected from every student throughout the school day. One of our expectations is that all students be ready to learn for every class, every day. Being ready to learn is defined as being on time for class, having all of your materials for class, and having your personal learning device, your iPad, charged and ready to use. Students who are not ready to learn will be assigned consequences starting with the third offense in each class. Consequences can include lunch detention and after-school detention. The next slide covers our school's behavior management plan, which is found in every classroom and in your student handbook. Each of your teachers will have slightly different rules and expectations in place in their classrooms. If you don't follow those rules and expectations, your teachers have the authority to assign consequences for Level 1 behavior offenses. This includes having food or drinks in the classroom without permission, other than water, and not following your teacher's classroom rules and expectations. Teachers and other staff members can assign students to lunch detention, after-school detention, a removal from class, or schedule a meeting with your parents to make arrangements for an individual behavior plan. You can also see a list of Level 2 behavior offenses, including inappropriate language, refusing to do what a staff member has asked, disrespect to school staff, or being in an unassigned area of the school. When these incidents occur, a staff member will write an office referral, and an administrator will assign a consequence to you. Consequences for these behaviors include after-school detention, in-school suspension, out-of-school suspension, and potentially being expelled from school. The expectations for appropriately using electronic devices at school are also included in our behavior management plan. The goal of these expectations is to ensure that electronics are used responsibly and in a way that doesn't distract you from learning. As a reminder, phones and other electronic devices cannot be used in classrooms. Consequences are in place for times when these expectations are not being met, including lunch detention, after-school detention, and having your phone held in the office until a parent can pick it up. Additionally, you can be suspended or expelled from school if you are using an electronic device to harass, threaten, intimidate, bully, violate another student's rights, cheat on schoolwork, or engage in illegal behavior. This includes photographing or videotaping someone without their permission, or taking, displaying, sending, or possessing photos or videos of a sexual nature. The next slide discusses lunch detention, which is one of the consequences you can receive as part of our school discipline plan or for other issues. Here are the procedures to follow if you get assigned to lunch detention. Students assigned to lunch detention should report to room B151 at the beginning of their lunch period or immediately after being directed to lunch detention by an adult in the cafeteria. There can be additional consequences if you are tardy to lunch detention. Students stay in lunch detention for the remainder of their lunch period, and electronic devices are not allowed to be used during lunch detention. As we've gone through some of our behavior expectations, and as we continue in a little bit to discuss items that can get you suspended or expelled from school, remember, it is possible to go through the entire school year without ever being assigned any disciplinary consequences by a teacher or administrator. In fact, at least 75% of our students do this every year. The consequences you might receive are a result of the decisions you make. We are here to help you learn to make good decisions, and we know that everyone is capable of doing this. Remember to follow the Cougar Code, being respectful, responsible, and ready to learn, and set a good example for others to follow. Our next topic from the handbook covers behavior that can result in suspension or expulsion from school. Being suspended or expelled from school is a very serious thing, but it's a step that the school will take in cases of very serious misbehavior or repeated behavior that continues after other consequences have been assigned. Again, most students do not find themselves in a situation where they get suspended or expelled from school, and we expect that to continue this year. In times when the behavior of students is so disruptive that it interferes with school purposes or educational functions, administrators may take the following actions: removal from class, suspension from school at home, expulsion from school for the remainder of the semester or school year. You can see the first part of a list of items that may result in a student being suspended or expelled from school. These rules apply when you are on school grounds before, during, or immediately after school. They also apply when you are off school grounds at a school activity or event, and when you are traveling to or from a school activity or event. Behavior that can result in suspension or expulsion includes behavior that interferes with school purposes, such as preventing a teacher from conducting class, engaging in behavior that does physical or psychological harm to another student, engaging in violence or threat of violence against students or staff, causing or attempting to cause damage to school property or stealing or attempting to steal school property, causing or attempting to cause damage to private property or stealing or attempting to steal private property, intentionally causing or attempting to cause physical injury to any person, threatening or intimidating another person for any purpose, threatening damage or injury to persons or property even if you don't have the ability to carry out the threat, failing to report the actions of others when the actions could result in harm to another person or damage to property, possessing, handling, or transmitting a knife or other weapon, possessing, using, transmitting, or being affected by drugs, marijuana, alcohol, stimulants, or tobacco, possessing, using, or transmitting any substance which is represented as or looks like illegal drugs, possessing, using, distributing, purchasing, or selling tobacco or nicotine-containing products of any kind or in any form. This includes e-cigarettes, vaping devices, and any type of look-alike products associated with tobacco or nicotine. Lighters and matches are also included in this rule and not allowed at school. Offering to sell or agreeing to purchase drugs or alcohol. Failing to comply with directions of school staff in a way that interferes with school purposes. Failing to completely and truthfully respond to questions from school staff regarding school-related matters. Falsely accusing someone of violating school rules or the law, engaging in illegal activity, aiding, assisting, or conspiring with someone to violate school rules or the law. The list of behavior that can result in suspension or expulsion also includes engaging in academic dishonesty or cheating, taking or displaying pictures of students or staff without their consent, possessing materials, including pictures, of a sexual nature, using a phone or other communication device to possess or send text or email messages containing images that are indecent or sexual in nature, engaging in pranks or behavior that could result in harm to another person, using or possessing gunpowder, ammunition, or flammable substances, violating or repeatedly violating school rules, including engaging in sexual behavior, disobeying administrators, excessive absences or tardies, using profanity, violating technology rules, or violating medication rules, inappropriately using technology devices. Additionally, you may be suspended for engaging in acts that violate state law or any other rule that is published by the principal. You can be suspended for behavior that takes place off school grounds if the behavior can reasonably be considered an interference with school purposes or if the behavior will create an unsafe environment for other students. Possessing firearms, destructive devices, or deadly weapons also results in suspension or expulsion, as described on page 26. As we mentioned before, most students make good choices with their behavior at school, but these procedures allow for students to be removed from school if it becomes necessary. You can also be suspended or expelled from school for bullying or cyberbullying. Bullying is illegal in Indiana, and it's prohibited in our school. Indiana law defines bullying as overt, unwanted, repeated acts or gestures, including verbal or written communications or images transmitted in any manner, including digitally or electronically, physical acts, aggression, or any other behaviors that are committed by a student or group of students against another student with the intent to harass, ridicule, humiliate, intimidate, or harm the targeted student and create for the targeted student an objectively hostile school environment. Bullying includes activities that place the targeted student in reasonable fear of harm to the student's person or property, have a substantially detrimental effect on the targeted student's physical or mental health, have the effect of substantially interfering with the targeted student's academic performance, or have the effect of substantially interfering with the targeted student's ability to participate in or benefit from the services, activities, and privileges provided by the school. When reports of bullying are made to a teacher, counselor, or administrator, they are investigated. If it is determined that a student is truly being bullied, disciplinary actions will be taken against the bully that could include suspension or expulsion from school, counseling, or referral to law enforcement. The parents of the bully and the parents of the victim will be contacted by the school. The rules and consequences regarding bullying apply both in and out of school. Cyberbullying is also a very serious offense. Our schools do not support social media entries that are cruel, harmful, threatening, or demonstrate a likelihood of causing a disruption to the school day or any school-sponsored event. Prohibited behavior includes fake profiles on social media, embarrassing pictures or videos of students or staff, threatening or harassing texts or other electronic communications that fit these criteria. The administration reserves the right to investigate such entries that might cause a disruption to the school setting. If there is a clear link to a substantial disruption of the school day or school event, the administration may take formal action through suspension or expulsion from school and may report the incident to police. This slide discusses our school district's policy for searching or seizing your personal property. School officials are allowed to search you and your property if they have reasonable suspicion to believe that the search is required in order to discover items which cause, or could reasonably be foreseen to cause, an interference with school purposes or any educational function, or which are forbidden by state law or school rules. Searches of lockers and desks can also occur because these items are considered school property. Certain procedures must be followed in order to conduct a search, and the administrators will follow those procedures, but it can occur even if you do not agree to it. If your property is confiscated during a search, it may be kept and used as evidence in matters of suspension or expulsion. Items will be returned to you if you are legally allowed to possess them. The use of breathalyzer tests and metal detectors is covered in the student handbook as well. If school administrators have reason to believe that you have consumed alcohol, they are allowed to conduct a breathalyzer test. This type of behavior would result in suspension or expulsion from school. Additionally, school administrators are authorized to use metal detectors to determine if a student is in possession of an item that may be in violation of school rules or law. Just like at school, there are also rules to follow on the bus, and they are covered in the student handbook. Your bus driver is in charge, and the job of keeping everyone safe on the bus is very important. Your responsibility to follow the rules of the bus driver is also one that you should take very seriously. Bus rules include, but are not limited to, remaining in your seat while the bus is moving, not making excessively loud noises on the bus, using appropriate language, not throwing objects on the bus, and not allowing anything out of the window of the bus. If you do not follow these rules, or any other rule that your bus driver communicates to you, you will receive a bus write-up and be assigned a consequence. The consequences for bus write-ups begin with a warning and can result in a student being removed from the bus for the remainder of the school year. Finally, it is important to talk about reporting things that could result in harm to others. Bullying, suicide, and school safety are hot topics. Every staff member at Greenfield Central Junior High wants our schools to be a safe place for all students, and we encourage students to report unsafe situations. Open communication helps prevent incidents where people could be harmed. If you are aware of a situation involving bullying, cyberbullying, threats of violence against students or staff, child abuse, or if you are aware of someone who is having suicidal thoughts or discussing suicide, it is extremely important to report this to an adult right away. Reporting information like this, or any violation of school rules, is not tattling or snitching. It's simply doing your part to help keep yourself, others, and our school safe. Reports can be made in the following ways: in person or through email to a staff member, preferably an administrator or school counselor. Completing a bullying report in the office. These reports can be submitted anonymously. using the links on the GCJHS website to submit a Safe Schools alert or to access the Suicide Prevention Lifeline. During homeroom time this year, you will learn strategies for identifying and appropriately dealing with bullying and also ways to improve your social and emotional wellness. We hope that you will take those activities seriously and use them as an opportunity to improve yourself and to create a positive school environment for you and other students.